Welcome back, Barbershop Talk family. It is 1/18/2020. We are back. We had a long layover over the holidays, both Christmas, you see the decorations are still up, and New Year's. But we are back here today, 1/18/2020, and we have the privilege of having the Vice President of the NAACP, Wale Elegbede, here. And we have the additional privilege of having Dr. Aubrey Elegbede, his wife, here to give us some wisdom as well. But Wally will be featured on the show. But thank you for tuning in, coming back at us. It is great to see you. We must say at the onset, we had a little bit of an unfortunate event during the holidays. We thought it was a burglary. It was actually something different. An unfortunate event. We've handled it. We disciplined the person that was involved, and we're moving on from that. So we're on to bigger and better as it relates to that. But again, thank you for tuning in to the Barbershop Talk South Minnesota show. We've got a lot of good stuff coming in the coming second half of Barbershop, this second Barbershop Talk season. So continue to tune in and all those great things. One of the things we have coming up is this right here. Brother Lee Green of Greenhouse Graphics has helped us with our first annual leadership calendar. This man is great at his work. If you need graphics done, anything graphics related, get Lee Green on that. But we have now our first annual leadership calendar ready for to buy, and we want you to buy it. The goal of this leadership calendar is a couple of. One is to expose the positivity of our minority community. Often we don't get to see that positivity, and we often see negative images of our minority and African American folks. So that's one focus of this calendar, to boost and support the positive identity of our peoples. Secondarily, we're using this as a fundraiser to help out a local organization doing great things in the community, and then also to continue to support us as we grow. So this calendar will go to support Seeds of Wisdom Academy, an African-American owned and operated school and daycare here in Rochester, Minnesota, that's been going on for a long time. Great folks over there, the Fry family. So part of the proceeds will go to that, and then the other proceeds will go to Barbershop Talk and Barbershop and Social Services as we grow. This is our second season, and we need to add new cameras and a lot of different things, and nothing like this runs for free, so we're going to use that to bolster what we are doing here. So we have this calendar ready on PayPal for $20 each. Now, we have to send it to you, make it $25 for postage cost. So please get this calendar. We currently have 451 followers. We want every follower to buy one of these one of these calendars, as it goes to a great cause. This calendar is awesome. Again, a magnificent designer who put this together, and we have those ready for purchase now. Get on our PayPal. What you can do is go to our Facebook. There's a Shop Now button. Hit that, and then you can get to buy that, or go to PayPal and then purchase it that way. Or we can go old school brick and mortar, where you give us a check or send us a check or whatever, and we can go that direction as well. So help support Seeds of Wisdom Academy, help support Barbershop Talk as we grow in Barbershop Social Services, and also help with the positive imagery of our African American folks. All right? So thank you for tuning in. Let's get to what's going on in the community. Obviously, as we know, it is Martin Luther King's birthday, which passed, but the official day is tomorrow, January 20th. A lot of events going on. Make sure you get there. We have the poetry contest on Sunday at 4 p.m. We have the MLK breakfast at 7:45. We have the Freedom Rally at 10 at the Civic Center, and then the birthday party as well. So make sure you get into those events. We'll keep this posted, but you can look at the post bulletin or the Diversity Council website to see what else is going on. So make sure you get out to your MLK event to support MLK Day. Look at these other things that are going on in our community. All right, a quick note about upcoming shows. This week we have Dan Feehan and also Superintendent Rochester Public Schools Munoz. Munoz will be on Saturday. Dan Feehan will be on the 24th at 2 o'clock. The reason why I wanted to make sure I mention this is because we want folks to come out to see the U.S. Congressman, to ask questions. We offer an audience with our shows, but typically we just depend on our online outreach. It would be good to have some folks, not a whole lot of folks, but a good representation of our community out to ask the U.S. Congressman candidate to ask questions about his candidacy. He is trying to go to Washington to be our U.S. Congressman from our area, and it would be great to get our folks out to talk to him. So on Friday, 2 p.m., we have that show. If you're interested in being in the audience, please RSVP Barbershop Talk at our messenger or our email, and that information will be available for you. But we want to make sure that we have enough folks out to talk to the candidate running for U.S. Congressman Dan Feehan. We will offer that opportunity out to the current Congressman, Republican Hagedorn as well, and we'll be extending that to him, so hopefully he'll come out as well. But certainly this Friday, 2 p.m., if you want to be a part of the audience, please RSVP, call us, let us know, and we'll get you on that list. We want folks to be out. This individual may represent our area as a U.S. Congressman, so we need to know where he's at, where he stands. He's a great guy, so make sure you get in the know about that. But other shows are coming. The comedy show will be here on Friday as well, so we're looking for a show on that. And then Superintendent Munoz is expected to be here on Saturday. So a lot of future shows coming. We have some other shows coming as well, but we wanted to make sure that this unique opportunity to have the U.S. candidate for Congress out, that we would make sure we extend that to folks that can come out on Friday at 2 p.m.
At Greenhouse Graphics, we offer award-winning design services at affordable rates to help your business attract customers and ultimately affect your bottom line. Working with you one-on-one at whatever stage you're at in developing your brand. I want to help drive success to your business with excellent design and quality marketing materials. From startup companies in need of custom graphics, websites, logos, to seasonal maintenance, I got you covered. I take time and listen and care about your needs. I understand that image and quality mean everything in business when it comes to leaving a lasting impression on your clients and customers that lasts a lifetime. With nearly 2 decades of experience, it is in my DNA to create eye-popping graphics for your business. Greenhouse Graphics, making sure you always look your best.
All right, as you know, Barbershop Talk, we have a Keep It 100 segment, and that's our attempt to keep it 100 as they do in our barbershops all across this nation and beauty shops as well. Our topics for today's Keep It 100 will be highlighted by Martin Luther King quotes, so get ready for that. Our first topic will revolve around this MLK quote. In this topic, the arc of the moral university is long, but it bends towards justice. We're going to get into the topic of the Rooney Rule with NFL football. And then, how about this over the holiday season when we weren't doing shows and were on break? How about this quote? History will have us direct record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of bad people, but the appalling silence of good people. Christianity Today put out an article against Trump, and we're not going to get into the politics. We're going to get into the morality piece of this. So join us on that topic as well. And then our last one is, particularly since we have the Vice President of the NAACP here, this quote, and obviously this is from the famous speech of Dr. Martin Luther King. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Where are we at in 2020? Both as a nation and certainly local here in Rochester. So those will be the Keep It Real topics that we will speak on. And then we'll have a quick little Donnie You Crazy segment. It's cold outside. It's snowing or sleeting or whatever it's doing. It's just bad, right? It's blowing right now. Cold here in Minnesota. I want to challenge this topic. Black folks are not tropical. Often you hear people say, oh, black folks are tropical. That's why they should live in a place like Minnesota. I'm going to challenge that topic and say black folks aren't tropical because what? We live here in Minnesota. So anyways, we'll have some fun with that. But tune in to our Keep It Real segment as well. All right, as you're snug as a bug in the rug on this very, very cold Saturday, welcome again to Barbershop Talk. We have today our guest, Wale Elegbede, Vice President of the Rochester NAACP, and he does a whole lot of other stuff. So get ready for Wale. He's a great, energetic guy, very smart. And then also his wife, Dr. Aubrey Elegbede, is here as well. So we'll be talking with her off camera, but it's great to have these two individuals in our midst. So get ready. Here comes Wale. All right, welcome to Barbershop Talk. What a huge layoff since Christmas and New Year's, but now we are back, ready to have some fun to end out the second half of our season. It is 2020. Welcome everyone to Barbershop Talk, South Minnesota. As you know, we are here for our community. We love to use the Paul Wellstone quote, we all do better when we all do better. We are focused on the African American community, the at-risk community, the high-risk community. We're focused on making a difference with those that are voiceless, but at the same time, we are here for our whole community. So thank you for tuning in. We have guest Wale Elegbede. Elegbede. I'm going to get that right.
We want to get that right.
Yeah. So great brother here. So we're going to have some fun with him. But honestly, we just need to say real quickly, over the holiday season, we had an unfortunate event happen. We thought it was a burglary. It wasn't a burglary. It was an unfortunate event. We had to hold someone accountable within our fold, and we chose to move on. So we're moving on from that. It wasn't a burglary, but it was an unfortunate event. But we're moving on from there to bigger and better things, and we appreciate your support. We appreciate all those that have sent in their well wishes, and we truly, truly appreciate that. All right, as we get going here, you probably have noticed on our Facebook site and the YouTube, we have our first annual leadership calendar. This is our first. It was an idea that we all came up with. It is a beautiful calendar. Designer Lee Green from Greenhouse Graphics put that thing together. It is amazing. The proceeds from that calendar go to Seeds of Wisdom Academy here in Rochester, Minnesota, and then also further on what we do here at Barbershop Talk. This is our second season. We're growing, and we need to add things to our what we do here to be bigger and better than what we are. So that is a fundraiser that again goes to Seeds of Wisdom Academy, and you'll learn more about that on our Facebook site, but also to support Barbershop and Social Services and Barbershop Talk. Check out that calendar. Lee Green did an amazing job. Again, it costs $20. If you buy it on PayPal and we have to ship it to you, it's $25 for shipping costs. But make sure you look at that, purchase that. We want all 451 of our followers, if you will, to buy a calendar to support these noble efforts at Seeds of Wisdom and Barbershop and Social Services. So as we get going, let's get you up to get a quick uptick on what's going on in our community. Real quick, obviously MLK Day is tomorrow. Events, they have the breakfast at, well, before that, Sunday at 4 p.m., there is the poetry contest at Canvas and Chardonnay. And then on Monday, the actual day that his birthday is recognized, the breakfast is at 7:45, poetry contest winners. There's a youth panel, moderated by Wale, so that will be nice. Then we have the Freedom Rally again at 10 a.m. Civic Center, the MLK birthday party, Civic Center as well at noon. And then there will be, in the theater there'll be an essay contest winners and a community panel and presentation.
Yeah, and I'll talk more about that too.
Okay.
So in the afternoon, where it's called the People's Program, we have a lot of fantastic events.
Okay.
The breakfast. There's also going to be another community panel. So
Great.
Yeah,
So
so
that
we'll
would be
talk more.
great. Make sure you get there to have a great MLK Day. Real quick, upcoming shows. Obviously, we have Wale here today. This is amazing, off the chart stuff. But next week we have Dan Feehan, candidate for U.S. Congress next Friday. It's going to be great having him in. He's running for office. We're hoping to get his the current congressman, I forget his name, the Republican. We hope we'll get him as well. But we have Dan Feehan next week. We're hoping to have a select audience. We typically do this obviously through our media outlet, but we want a select audience here to ask Dan Feehan questions. So if you're interested, make sure you RSVP us. And then next Saturday we have Superintendent Munoz from Rochester Public Schools. So let's jump in. As you know, we have our Keep It 100 segment where we bring up a couple of topics. And since it's the barbershop, we keep it real, right?
Keep it
Wale,
real,
you
keep
can
it
jump in or you're
Sure.
not. Well, we're going to let
Yeah.
you slide if you want to slide. Well, I thought I would do it given the representation or in representation of MLK Day. Bring out some MLK quotes to kind of talk about our Keep It Real topics. And I want to go with this one. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. MLK. And I want to, and this is kind of trivial, but definitely a big issue if you're a sports fan. Over the holidays, the issue of the Rooney Rule in the NFL came up again. Coaches got fired, coaches got hired, and the media, everything went crazy because some of the coaches that got hired were, low-level people, but no minority individuals were hired, at least to this point. Gentlemen, Wale, you can jump out if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in.
All right. Is the arc of the moral universe, is it bending towards justice, or does money rule the day? The owner's thing is like, hey, Rooney Rule, I'll interview an African American or a minority, thank you, 40 minutes gone, okay, this is my guy. Is money ruling the day, or can this be can it be situated?
So I think it's both, but I don't want to say money rules the day, but we need to have representation of African American brothers and sisters, and not just African American women too. But it's when we're talking about football, there are not a lot of brothers and sisters that get these opportunities. And over time, if you look at it, I guess in 100 years, it bends towards justice,
Right.
but it's too slow.
Right.
I don't think we have that patience for that. So
I think you're correct.
yeah.
But my point of view is ownership. So I think that it starts early,
Right.
telling the kids that no, you just don't want to play professional sports. You want to be an owner of a team,
Now that's big.
right?
Yeah.
And we don't tell kids that, right? So all you see is the future of just playing and not owning. And
Right.
the second thing I see, I think that if they ain't going to make the change,
Right.
then you need to start your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what happens is that when you start your own, then what happens is that they'll make them speed up the policies and
Right.
everything quicker. And
Sure,
oftentimes we try to go into a system that's well designed for us to stay out of, right? And sometimes you got to
now
work
you're preaching.
outside the system in order for the system to change.
Mm.
If we make up 75 or 80% of minority in that league, and we got all the sponsors from us and everything like that. So what to say that we can't do what they do at the same higher level?
You can.
What if they all left? We'll start all 80%. Okay, we'll change that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but the rules have to change. I think you have a lot of African American brothers and sisters that are knowledgeable. The funds are there to a certain extent, because this is $1 billion industry. So this is not $100 million. Forget about it. You're not even playing in this.
Right, it's big money.
So it's a lot of big money, but they need to create the framework, and the framework is not there right now. But to your particular question, though, you're saying even right now in terms of interviewing candidates, I think they need to. It just needs to be part of. We need to do what we say.
Right.
You know, and not just, you know, interviewing people just for
Right.
For keepsake, you know, and a lot of and this is not just the NFL, a lot of organizations too.
You're right.
You know, it's not just, hey, you know, I have the diversity candidates. You know, there are a lot of really skilled people, and if you give people a fair shot, a fair shake, you know, then let the chips lie where they are. So
we do have some of those issues, and we've discussed some of those hiring issues here, but that was a big issue that blew up. Okay, another one. MLK quote: "History will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period," obviously a past quote, "the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people." Over the holiday season, I have been waiting for the Christian community, being one that was born up in the Christian community, as an at-risk youth that kind of rescued me and got me out of my negative situation. I've been waiting for the Christian community to say, hey, this might be our president, but his actions are wrong. Something. Christianity Today came out and said, hey, Trump should be removed from office. It lit a storm, so on and so forth. However, this was vilified, and it still is astounding to me today. Not only, I'm being nice in the sense, not necessarily on the issue of politics, but morality, that the evangelical community, and we've invited the evangelical community from locally to come out and speak on this, even-handedly, they are just silent on this issue. Is this appalling, or is it, hey, well, they're supporting their president, he's the man?
You're asking a lot of really great questions, and a lot of people that know me sort of know where I stand on moral issues. I do have an issue with, you know, when we have immoral leaders that are not doing the right thing. Now I'm also an American Muslim, right? But I grew up with, you know, Christian brothers. You know, in my family we have a lot of Christians. You know, so I totally understand that. And when I was in lacrosse, and we'll talk more about that, we co-founded the interfaith group. So Christian brothers and sisters, Jewish, Buddhists. The bottom line is this: we know wrong,
right.
and I suspect people are looking at it from a strategic standpoint and saying, okay, strategically, maybe we're having the opportunity to get Supreme Court justices or whatever. Right. But that's not it. Personally, for me, I cannot vote for somebody or even shake somebody's hand when you're daddy moral.
Right.
You know, because I wouldn't vote for you for a school board.
Right.
Right. And so I think we know what's wrong, but why people choose to not communicate, I suspect as you're looking at it from a strategic standpoint, but I beg to differ. I think that we need to be able to make choices that we can easily stand for in front of our kids. Right. You know, do as I do.
Right. Absolutely.
Do as I do.
And, you know, from my standpoint, I just want, and I would just love for Christian leaders locally. I think this is a moral imperative as it relates to faith. You got to come out and say these actions, not the politics, let's put them aside, are not congruent with the faith. Otherwise, I think it's really hurting the faith model. That's my opinion. And again, we would love pastors to come out to talk about this, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, but just also keep it 100. You know, there are pastors that are speaking out against this. You know, right? I mean, even at the local level. And,
good.
But when you're talking about, you know, are we seeing a big national movement?
Right.
Then maybe not.
Maybe not. All right. The last one is an infamous quote, great speech from MLK. The latter end of that speech: "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where we will not be judged by the color of their skin. Well, they will not be judged for the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Gentlemen, we are in 2020. I think I'm legitimately getting old now.
You're old, man.
Yeah.
But you got the right hat, you got the Packers hat, so you're good. Go Packers.
Yeah. Is the dream being realized now? And we deal with a lot of issues, Andre and I, and obviously Wale, you're on the NAACP.
Yeah.
Given what the position you hold and the various things that you've done, are we seeing an advancement on the dream, or particularly in this age of, I'll just call it Trumpism, whether it's politics or not, or are we taking some steps back?
Do you want to go first, and I'll go?
No, you first.
Okay, sure.
I'm solid. I'm solid.
Sure.
So you know what? Hear what you got to say.
So I think. So they have, there's been a lot of progress made if you look at it from the civil rights era, to now. So there has been progress made. Even if you look at, like we had the first president, we've had a lot of brothers that have and sisters that have gone through, that made great strides. So progress has been made, but we still have issues. Whether it's criminal justice reform, whether it's social justice. I mean, even in Rochester, number one, Rochester is a great community. You have a lot of support from leaders,
right?
But there's still a lot to be done. Like even from an NAACP, there was an economic inclusion report that came out and just says that look, Minnesota is really bad, really bad, right? And so we're not achieving the dream, and there's some things that collectively as a community in Rochester we can do to improve to actually realize that dream. We'll talk more about that, but but it's not just on the African American community. It's on the whole nation. It's on our white brothers and sisters. Right. It's on Asians. It's everybody, right? To realize that dream. But brothers are still getting a great fair shake.
Right.
And but we also have to be able to talk honestly and make sure that we have the skills. Do we have the skills to actually realize these dreams? Is there disparities in schools?
Right.
What are we need to really prioritize and say that education needs to come first. But several folks use that as an excuse. So for me, it's not an excuse. Education needs to come first, but healthcare needs to be factored into that. And then if we do all of this, then policies, that's important, because if you don't have the right policies, you're not even going to get in the game to start off with. So a lot more to do. Yes, we've made great strides, but honestly, there's something that we've actually taken a back seat on. So
it's easier in this community because it is a great community. It is a great community that we get into the check the box mode. Well, we hired a minority leader, or we blah blah blah. So therefore, we've done it.
And I don't know, to be honest. Because that's a broad statement. I do know that if we looking at it from a DMC perspective, we have a lot of great opportunities for construction jobs. There's not a lot of minorities and even women, but I'm just going to focus on the minorities. And there's not a lot of them involved in these jobs and opportunities. So we need to improve that. There is acknowledgement about that, right? So that's good. Acknowledging it is the first step. Right. Then what are we going to actually do to improve that? So that's number one. Number two is, we don't even have some of the capabilities. Because I went to a conference last week where they talked about, well, how do you actually provide more opportunities? And some of these jobs, I mean, just to get in the game, it's really high. I'm like, we need something. So many layers. We need something else to be able to say, look, if you're looking for a job, and maybe it's an OJT, on the job training, so wherever you are, if you have the skills, let's look for ways that we can actually position you. But bottom line is, we need to have more economic opportunities. Right. We need to have safety. That means working with law enforcement. So that we can make sure that things are collaborative. It means human rights. Right. So there's a lot of things, but we're definitely not there yet. What I like to focus on, and if you look at it from an NAACP, our mission is really to make sure that all individuals, they have equal rights, regardless of and making sure there's no discrimination based on race. Right. But at the end of the day, are we better off than we were, and we need to get to that. Right. So this year we're going to be having a lot of events and community engagement to actually make sure we make them. So we're not just talking.
Particularly in the census year review.
Census, voting, jobs, skill development. Right. Community collaboration. Right. And people have to act right, and it's you talk about businesses and business ownership. There's all those opportunities. And we can do it. It's not hard, And I know one of your questions.
Well, the money is there.
Yeah, money's going to be there, and I think it's really just polishing ourselves up. The heart is there. We have a lot of great African American brothers and sisters that are smart. So it's not a question of smarts. It's a question of opportunity. It's a question of opportunity. If you look at me, it's really about opportunity.
Right.
You know, and in terms of why am I able to, you know, quote unquote, communicate clearly. If I didn't tell you I was originally from Nigeria, you wouldn't know, right?
I wouldn't know. I've been trying to figure out for 2 years where Wale from.
Yeah. So it's all about the opportunities. The more opportunities you have, then you know you get the skills, and if you're actually hired, you know, and then you're able to actually gain this critical skills, and then you can actually even contribute more. So it's really us providing that framework for opportunity.
Right.
So.
Well, there is one segment we have in the Keep It Real that I've added, and Crockett, he'll fire me after the show. The Donna You Crazy segment. And this is dedicated to the one dude in the barbershop or girl that says the craziest stuff ever, and people are like, please shut up. And then sometimes they're like, maybe she's right. So I'm going to throw one out here, okay? Often when the weather is like this, snowy, you know, whatever, you hear this, black folks are tropical people, and we're not used to this. I'm going to challenge that statement today because we got 3 brothers right here that live in Minnesota. Black folks are not tropical. We love the cold. We love the snow.
Are you crazy? You must be crazy.
You're thinking about leaving every day.
Yes.
Yeah. So my grandmother, or my mother-in-law, she's like, how smart is the Nigerian that came to La Crosse, which is cold, and now he's moved to Minnesota, which is even colder. So it's like, nah, I don't like this. I put on my long johns.
It is something. It's something. Well, hey, thank you, Wale, for being here. We have Wale Elegbede.
Elegbede.
I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, you're gonna get it right
By the end of the show.
By the end of the show.
I'm not even trying.
Vice President of the NAACP, and we want to thank you for coming here. So let's jump into our questions. Brother, you've been here for 2 years doing great things. And as it is in our community, not all of us know each other until like the summer, and then people pop out like that. You know, who are you? What do you? I mean, what are the things you're doing here? Obviously, you're the vice president of the NAACP. You've been a great leader in the community since you've been here. You have an amazing wife and all of her accolades as well. Who are you, brother?
Yeah. So Wale Elegbede is originally from Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria. I grew up in Lome, Togo, which is a French-speaking country. So my dad was a diplomat. And in our family, we have a lot of folks that are in the military. So when we talk about like all the issues we have with law enforcement, like I mean, my uncle was a vice admiral in the Navy, was chief of defense. My dad was a diplomat. My grandmother was actually the second female police officer in Nigeria. So there's a lot of law enforcement and
scared of
service.
you, brother. You probably got some.
Well, maybe I don't know about that, but so there's a lot of history there, and growing up, I went to an American school, and so that's where you know my accent comes from, and it was an elementary school, and then after that, went back to Nigeria. My dad passed away, and went to the Navy school. And then after the Navy school, came to the States, and then settled down in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and basically, you know, started a business, developing software. So I have an IT and business background, so I implemented ERP systems, and went into project management because sometimes number one, it's hard as a brother, right? Having a business, and I mean, there have been times where talk to somebody on the phone. And it was all good, and then I show up, and it's like, hey, exactly, right? But you don't let things like that bother you. You just shake it off, and you focus. But so that's how I got into project management after the university, and worked for a lot of some of the top organizations in the world. I currently work at Mayo Clinic. Prior to that, I worked at Ashley Furniture. I mean, that's the largest furniture company in the world. So a lot of experience and professionalism, but. The States gave me the opportunity to be what I am today, and La Crosse in general, and very involved in the community, and fighting Islamophobia, and fighting hate crime and racism. And also, it's really making sure that we uplift our community. 2016 is really when I started to get heavily involved in just community activism because it was affecting my kids. And as a dad, you just can't. Well, absolutely. We can keep quiet. We all have a choice. This is really easy. It's either say I'm going to do something or I'm going to sit down. It's really that easy, right? There's no two ways about it. So decide I need to do something. Money was good and all that stuff, but I needed to do something to improve my community. But in terms of Rochester, I've been here for actually 4+ years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we moved 2 years ago, but I was doing the commute while I was working.
Gotcha.
So, and then from a NAACP perspective, so recently was the vice president, and a lot of great leaders. So there's W.C. Jordan, our president.
Absolutely.
So he's a great leader, providing great vision. Barbershop Jordan, so a lot of people in this community are doing great stuff. And all the work that you guys are doing, I mean, it's really, this is kudos. There's a lot more to be done, right? So our goal is really to make sure that African American brothers and sisters, and it's not just for African Americans, but to make sure that everybody is successful, and there is no discrimination based on race. Do we have equal opportunities in terms of jobs? Do we have eliminating, job disparities? I mean, educational disparities, discipline disparities, and Rochester sucks in that too.
Boy, we do.
So there's a lot to, we do a lot of great stuff, but then we also need to be honest that there's a lot of opportunities. And apart from the NAACP stuff, I'm one of the commissioners for the Human Rights Commission.
Great.
And when I was in La Crosse in 2016, because of the tone of the country, we founded the La Crosse Interfaith Shoulder to Shoulder Network. And we had, Christian Franciscan sisters. So you had, 80-year-old folks, you had 90-year-old folks, and then you have 20 and of all different faiths, right? And we all get together and we're really singular and strategic in terms of we want to fight Islamophobia and hate crimes. And we've been able to help La Crosse be successful. And increasing the relationship with the police. We're going to be doing the same thing in Rochester, from an NAACP, and that's where we need everybody to work together, because it's not just the NAACP saying, "Hey, let's do this." Right. We're going to have a membership drive. We need more people in the fold.
That's right.
That's
right. Yeah.
Need more people in the fold. You got to get your hands dirty. And we got to vote. And we need to get people jobs. And we need to make sure that we help give people just the right opportunities and mentoring. So all of this stuff is really doable. It all depends on society.
Right.
Do we want to really make a change? And I think we can.
Well, outside in, after you've been here for 4 years, now you're VP of the NAACP. What are your views of Rochester and the positives and negatives, and even as you take on or continue in the VP-ship, what are your views of Rochester outside in, coming from La Crosse, very amazing town, a river type of town, and then now you're here at Rochester, which is basically the edifice of Mayo, which is positive. And then our Black community, our at-risk community. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think we have our leaders are in Rochester. At least that I've been involved with, from the mayor to other folks, they're saying the right things, at least some of the right things. So that's one. We'll take that and then we'll build off of that. I think Mayo is really critical in Rochester.
Absolutely.
And look at me, I'm a young brother for the most part. I won't say my age, but I'm kind of young. I'm a director of strategy at Mayo Clinic, and this is an administrative level position. So there are opportunities, and even from a mayoral leadership, diversity and inclusion is really important. And it's not just hiring diversity candidates; it's making sure you're hiring the right candidates, giving people a fair shot, right? But so Mayo is critical, but I think even from a city perspective, and even small businesses, there's a lot to be done, and I shouldn't be an N of one, or it shouldn't be you go in a plane and then you look around, because sometimes I do that. And it's like, hey, okay, you're the only brother, right. So that's we still have so much to do, and if one person is successful and the rest of the community is not, then we're not successful. Right. Everybody has to be successful, and so we need to create that framework. So. But yeah, in terms of Rochester, I love the fact that Rochester, I think even from a diversity perspective, and Al, you may know, we were the first, there's some ranking that we just got about like an inclusive number one inclusive city or something.
We got that?
Or something like
I'm
that.
surprised. I'm sorry.
So, something like that.
We got no. We got number one inclusive city
or something like that.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
No diss to our Rochester.
Yeah. But we're not there yet, right? So I know it's not inclusive city, but it's something that has to do.
Right. I know we do a lot of initiatives, but we're great on initiatives, blah 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 blah. But when we have those consistent issues, with school systems, when the other report came out that Minnesota's one of the worst places for diversity.
No, it is. And I think what I was trying to say was I think that there's been either a designation that we're gonna be this. So there's something. I'm not.
I would love to get that. We'll get that. It'd be good to post.
Yeah. But we have a lot of. I mean, in the schools, there's discipline issues, discipline disparities. I mean, jobs, and that all affects security. I mean, you look at even from an American Muslim perspective, the relationship with Somalis and the community, it could be improved, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we need to do, but it all boils down to this, from my perspective: are we our brother's keeper? And for the most part, and I used to be guilty of this. You gotta work, you gotta feed your family. There's so much stuff going on in a day,
right?
And we just sort of tunnel vision and we do our own stuff. And when we do that, what happens is we're leaving other people behind. And I think it's a mindset: is it are you on your own, or is this a we then? And for me, it's a we then, right? Right. And I suspect for you guys, it's a we then. If we're not doing good together, then we're not really achieving anything.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about?
Go ahead.
There's a certain amount of divisiveness even within the African American community in terms of those that are native, born American, and then those like yourself, Wale, that came from Nigeria or other places. There's a certain amount of win-lose kind of a perspective. Can you comment on that?
Well, I'd like to hear your perspective. So I don't think it's a win-lose, but I do know that even growing up in college, one observation that I saw, and now this is, I'm going to generalize, because I've seen a lot of African American brothers that, they just knocked the socks off, and they were just great in school and everything. But I've also seen folks really struggle. And when you look at someone like me, there's a class issue there. So my dad was a diplomat. I grew up knowing who my dad and mom was. I saw we had role models, right? You can be the president, you can be the governor. You see it. You see all those possibilities. Now, when you look at our brothers here, it's really tough because you're not seeing all that stuff, and that creates a big psyche. And so So I think that's part of it.
Just to reiterate for our audience, there was the question about the division of African Americans that have grown up here and immigrants, and how there's often a divide. And that was a great question.
And then Martin King talked about that.
Yeah.
He's the only one who was enslaved on their own land.
Right.
We're talking about right here. And I think that's where, John Edmonds, as brilliant as he is, he talks about the invisible immigrants. And so that's what sometimes that we really fail to put resources towards that, right? We speak a whole different language. Really, culturally, we still speak, even from slavery, even from civil rights to now, our language is totally different.
Right.
Right? It's just totally different. I don't care if we've been educated in the school system. Our culture is totally unique and totally different, right? It's a I call it a mixture of culture, right? Because we can't go back to Africa, right? Talking about
go to the motherland.
But you understand the mindset. So where do we really fit in identity, right? We still, after all these years, trying to find out as a people who we are, right? And then we got other people trying to tell us who we are. Right? You see what I'm talking about? And so now we come to this big mountain pot called Rochester. Right? And we talking about inclusion and diversity, but in the midst of that, I think that we missed out. Right? White women get it.
The numbers show it.
It's numbers, right? And so anytime that we say that, even we talk about, if we look at, we break up the numbers when they're talking about the worst person for black people to live. Right? You know what they're talking about. Right? You know what they're talking about. So if we look at the disciplinary actions, we look at the unemployment, it's African American. We talk about native born, right? And so why is it any earmarked dollar saying, okay, I gotta, not to say that everybody else don't deserve equality, but we know the moment we say Black Lives Matters, right?
Right.
All lives matters. The moment we say, and listen, I don't know if it's because of conscience or what happened because we've been enslaved as a people that we feel so guilty to saying, okay, I can't say that. I don't want to say that this is an issue. It's an issue that we keep putting on the road. We don't want to talk about it.